Alright, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been doing a series of video presentations for the Rankin Technical College AWD1111 .NET Framework with Web Databases class. And in particular, I'm going over the 18 chapters in our textbook, ASP.NET MVC with Entity Framework and CSS by Naylor. We've gone through the first 6 chapters, and now we're going through Chapter 7, which is the largest chapter in the book. It's about 100 pages long, and there is a boatload of code in this chapter. As you can see, it's on authentication and authorization. And it's important that you do realize the difference between the two. When you log in to a computer, as I did this morning, I had to give my login and my password. And when I did that, I was being authenticated. All right? Now, with many people, when you go to your job and you authenticate yourself, the system then has to figure out what you're authorized to do. For instance, I can go at Rankin Technical College here, I can go in to their intranet and I can find out information about me. I recently changed where I live, and I have to go in there and give them a change of address, for example. I'm authorized to do that. I'm not authorized to go in and take a look at and see how much money, for example, everybody else at the college is making. All right? So, with that as a beginning, as the author says right here, we now have a website with this baby store website that we're working on, where users can create, edit, and search for products and manage images. At the moment, though, anyone can open the site and edit, create, delete products and images. It's typically not what you'd want. So as mentioned here, this chapter shows you how to add authentication so users can log in, and how to add authorization based on roles to determine what tasks users can perform. The code in this chapter uses the Microsoft ASP.NET Identity v2 combined with SQL Local DB. Throughout the code in this chapter, you will see references to OWIN, which stands for Open Web Interface for .NET. The idea behind OWIN is that it acts like a layer of abstraction between the web app and the hosting environment. You can go here if you want more information. So, to keep the examples as simple as possible and so you can follow this in your own projects, much of the code is based on Microsoft's sample Identity 2.x code. If you want to view this sample code, open a new empty ASP.NET project. So let's do that. There's our project. Let's minimize that. Start up a new project. File, New, Project, ASP.NET Web App. Let's call this Identity. Alright, I won't worry about creating a GitHub repository on this one. It says it cannot be created because another project already exists with that name. Oh, I didn't know that. Alright, it's now Identity 2. There. It will be empty. All right. I don't know if it said anything about authentication, so let's quick look. They want us to install the package into it. Do not install the Microsoft sample identity code into the baby store project. All right. Okay. I'm just going to leave it like that. Click OK. This will give us, again, an empty project, which will be called Identity 2. There it is. As you can see, there's almost nothing in it. I'm going to right mouse click on here, Manage NuGet Packages. All right, Browse. I may have already put it in. I don't remember, to be honest with you. Oops. Identity. There's the Microsoft ASP.NET Identity Owen. Notice there's 10.3 million downloads. The version is 2.2.1. Checking the include pre-release box. It is. Searching for identity samples. All right. So I was doing a wrong search. Microsoft ASP.NET Identity.sample package. So Microsoft.ASP.NET .identity.samples. Right there. Microsoft.ASP.NET .identity.samples. Says it should only be installed into an empty ASP.NET project. That's what I have right here. All right, so again, I believe that that's it. So I'm going to do the install. I will accept the license agreement. And you can see it's adding a boatload of dependencies here. Some references. Well, a lot of references. I've got an app start here. Controllers, models, views. All right. So, when we initially created the Baby Store project in Chapter 1, we set the authentication option to individual user accounts. Setting this option meant that the project was created with some identity code to cater for the basic user registration and management of some user properties. During the project creation, a database context was created and a database connection string was added to the web.config file. You know this because we have done a lot of work with our context, plus we've changed the web.config file several times to either change the version of the database, to add security measures, etc. The database context is named application DB context and inherits from identity DB context application user, as you can see right here. Identity DB context inherits from DB context. Application DB context can be found in models, identitymodels.cs file. The default code is shown right here. There it is. This context will use the connection string default connection to connect to the database to be used for storing identity defaults. The web.config file contains this connection string. The following code shows the default connection string as listed in the Baby Store project's web config file. So the key things or the key takeaways here were everywhere that you see Baby Store. Now, what they have right here for theirs, I believe at least, 2016 would be the year, 2/17 would be the day, so it would be what, February 17th of 2016. I'm not sure if that's the time or not. If it is, that would be 12:36 p.m. in 18 seconds. All right. Okay. When a request is made that requires identity, in other words, when a user tries to log in, the identity database is created in the app data directory. The database is named automatically by Visual Studio, and they say, for example, that's what it's called here. Now, if it's the default connection string like this, that's, again, this is the one that's going to be concerned with the login and the like. The other one that's here is the one that we've been working with. To see the current password or database state, try to log into the website using the username admin@babystore.com and any password. So let's try that. This should fail, and that's what the author is saying here. So log in, email, admin@babystore.com. Says, for some reason there's a blank space there. All right, and the password, let's just say hello 123, comma. All right, and log in. It is thinking about it. Invalid login attempt. So is that what it said we should get? Yes. The attempt should fail, and you should receive an error from the login page as shown. That's exactly what happened. If you expand the app data folder in the Visual Studio solution window, you should see the new database file that will be used for identity purposes is shown in Figure 7.3. If you don't see it, try clicking refresh in the Solution Explorer. So I'm going to come back to the project here, stop the run, go back in here. I don't even have an app data, so let's go back. And refresh. Still don't see an app data. I'm refreshing there, and I'm looking here. There it says identity 2. All right, if I look under tables, all right, I'm seeing different tables than the ones that I'm working with in the baby store. It says we should see this ASP.NET baby store, etc., etc. It says next, open the database by right-clicking on it and choosing open. Well, this is what I want to see. So notice we've got migration history, ASP.NET roles, ASP.NET user claims, ASP.NET user logins, ASP.NET user roles, and ASP.NET users. So we do have that information. Now, the author gives a very quick little diatribe here over what all of this stuff is. It's not that you're going to remember it. It's on the bottom of 188, the top of 189. So migration history is used to keep a log of all the migrations related to the database. You know how we've added migrations, and basically that's the way that we're using the code first to grab our code that we've been putting in and basically have it reconcile itself back to database tables. ASP.NET roles, second one here, holds the roles that users can belong to. Again, I've given the example before. Think about it like at a bank. and how a bank teller has a different role than a personal banker has. ASP.NET user claims holds claims data. A claim is information about a user that can be used as an alternative to a role for authorization purposes. All right. ASP.NET user logins, as mentioned on the top of page 189, is used to hold data about third-party or external logins. For example, users logging in via Google or via Facebook. ASP.NET user roles is used to map users to roles, and ASP.NET users holds user data. In this chapter, as the author mentioned, we'll work with users and roles in the related table. Now, the author doesn't talk about claims, doesn't talk about external logins. Let's face it, this book is already 600 some pages long. You can't cover everything in any book. All right. The current identity code in the project is quite basic and works only for allowing individual user logins. During the rest of this chapter, we're going to expand this code and the database in order to create the ability to manage different users and roles, assign users to roles, create an initial admin user when the project first runs, and add some extra user fields. All right. Again, I want to say this one more time. We are going to put a boatload of code in this chapter. There is no way in heck that I'm going to get all this stuff done in one lecture. We're already at 17 minutes. In fact, this is probably a nice place to stop, all right, with part 1 of this. But my guess is there'll be somewhere upwards of 15 to 20 different lectures for this chapter. All right, so I'm going to stop with lecture 1 right now, and I'll pick it up in just a couple minutes on page 189, talking about working with roles.